Samantha adjusted her dress in front of the mirror, admiring the way it hugged her figure. Her husband, Michael, sat on the living room couch, his eyes glued to the news channel but his mind elsewhere. He had noticed the change in her behavior, the late-night texts, the sudden interest in gym memberships, and the perfumed aroma she carried even after saying she was just running errands. "You're going out again?" Michael asked, his voice calm but carrying an edge. Samantha didn't look at him. "Just dinner with the girls," she said lightly, slipping on her heels. Michael nodded, his fingers tightening around the TV remote. "Be careful," he said, his tone neutral. But there was something about the way he said it. Something that made Samantha pause for a fleeting second before shaking it off. In truth, there were no girlfriends waiting at the restaurant. Samantha had plans with Ryan, a man she had met months ago at a charity event. What began as harmless flirtation had turned into stolen afternoons, hushed phone calls, and now, clandestine dinners. Ryan was charming in all the ways Michael wasn't. Spontaneous, adventurous, and dangerously exciting. He made her feel alive, like the world was full of possibilities she'd forgotten existed. As she stepped out of the house, Michael watched her from the window. His expression was unreadable, his thoughts a storm brewing behind his calm exterior. Samantha and Ryan laughed over candlelight in a dimly lit restaurant tucked away from prying eyes. For a moment, she felt free, untethered from the routine of her marriage and the life she had once built with Michael. But something felt off. Throughout the evening, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her. She dismissed it as guilt playing tricks on her, but her eyes kept darting to the entrance and the shadows outside the window. When they left the restaurant, Ryan suggested they take a walk. Samantha hesitated, feeling uneasy but unwilling to ruin the moment. They strolled down a quiet street, the night air cool against her skin. Ryan reached for her hand, and she let him, though her mind was somewhere else. As they reached Ryan's car, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Michael. He stood there, hands in his pockets, his face calm but his eyes intense. Samantha froze. "Michael, what are you doing here?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he glanced at Ryan, who instinctively stepped back. Then, his gaze returned to Samantha. "I warned you," he said simply, his voice carrying a weight that made her stomach churn. "What are you talking about?" she stammered, her confidence crumbling. Michael took a step closer, his presence unnervingly steady. "I told you to be careful. You chose to ignore me. Now you'll understand what that means." Ryan, sensing danger, tried to intervene. "Look, man, I don't know what's going on, but..." Michael silenced him with a look. "You don't want to be involved in this." Then, to Samantha's shock, Michael turned and walked away, leaving her standing there with Ryan. It wasn't the confrontation she had feared. It was worse. His calmness felt like a storm held back by sheer will, and it terrified her. When Samantha returned home later that night, Michael was waiting for her. The house was eerily quiet, the atmosphere heavy with unspoken words. She tried to explain, to apologize, but he held up a hand. "You made your choice," he said, his voice cold and distant. "Now I'm making mine." The next morning, Samantha woke to find Michael gone. His closet was empty, his belongings cleared out. On the kitchen table was a letter, brief and to the point. "I gave you a chance to come clean, to fix what was broken. You ignored me. I deserve better." Samantha's heart sank as the reality of her actions hit her. Michael wasn't coming back. The life she had taken for granted was gone, and the thrill she had chased with Ryan now felt hollow. Weeks turned into months, and Samantha's world unraveled. Ryan, uncomfortable with the fallout of their affair, drifted away. Friends she had confided in distanced themselves, and whispers of her betrayal spread. Alone in the silence of her home, Samantha finally understood Michael's warning. It wasn't a threat, it was a plea. A plea for honesty, for respect, for a chance to rebuild what they had lost. She had ignored it, and now she was left with nothing but regret.